What's up, everyone? Matt Parrino here, NY in Syracuse.com. Coming to you late here on this Friday to chat a little bit about some breaking news this afternoon. The Bills have released Charles Clay, tight end. Uh, just completed his fourth season with the team. A lot of speculation over the course of the last few weeks that he would be somebody that the Bills would try to move on from this offseason, and it looks like they've decided to. Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott finally moving on from Charles Clay, who had a really disappointing season last year. First year of his career where he failed to get a single touchdown. And this is a move that, I've discussed several times on here on Facebook Live, on several radio shows that, had to happen. I mean, there's so much potential for this team in free agency and through the draft. We can chat a little bit about that and what options are out there for the Bills this offseason. But Charles Clay, a consummate professional, a guy that, you really saw day to day in the locker room, putting in the work, but battling through some injuries, a guy that really, really wanted to compete, but it just never really worked out for him in Buffalo. And the Bills realized that, saw some potential in Jason Kroom, who's the only tight end currently on the roster. And they're going to go forward with just him as we are about a month out from free agency and then about 2 months out from the draft. Few options. First commenter here brings up one of the main ones, TJ Hawkinson out of Iowa. He and teammate Noah Fant are two of the top tight ends in this upcoming draft. And if you scour the internet and look at some of these mock drafts, there's as many as 3 tight ends that are going in the first round in some of them. Irv Smith also from Irv Smith. Blanking here from Alabama. Obviously, 3 tight ends going in the first round in some of these mock drafts. There's plenty of options for the Bills, not only in the draft, but also a few in free agency. Jared Cook had a huge season last year for the Oakland Raiders, and, a guy that is a proven commodity, able to, make plays, catch the football, a solid target for Derek Carr in Oakland this past season. But in terms of Clay and, this decision, I think it finally, fans obviously were disappointed with his production this season. Never seemed to really click with Josh Allen. And late in the season when Josh Allen got things going, you saw a little bit of a rapport start to develop between him and Jason Kroom. I remember specifically, that big pass play late in the season, on fourth down when he connected with Jason Kroom for a 25-yard gain. Little things like that, it never seemed to click for Charles Clay. And obviously, the biggest blunder of the 2018 season in Miami when Josh Allen was, extended the play on fourth down and found Charles Clay in the end zone all by himself, and he couldn't bring it in. This was a decision that was looming. But, as you look towards free agency, there's a couple of, lesser names out there as well. I mean, you're talking about Jesse James, who's been pretty productive out in Pittsburgh for the last few years. A couple options, but I think Jared Cook is that elite option, along with, if you can get a draft a player. I wanted to bring this up for you guys. Joe Marino from the Draft Network, guy I really follow. I definitely recommend you guys follow him. He did a 7-round mock draft this past week and had the Bills getting a tight end in the 3rd round. Not being able to get Hawkinson, Fant, or Irv Smith, but had the Bills getting Georgia tight end Isaac Nuata. And, definitely catch his write-up on him. There's a bunch of options in this draft. But the Bills, have to make a decision. And I spoke, yesterday on a radio spot about the importance of this number 9 draft pick, right? We are looking at a bunch of possibilities. Brandon Beane seems to be open to trading that pick and getting a few more picks, maybe in this draft, maybe in future drafts. But if the Bills do stay at 9, they have to figure out who is the difference-making playmaker they can find in this draft. If they're going to stay in that 9 spot, whether it be on the offensive line, you're looking at a Jonah Williams, different players like that. There's also Jawan Taylor from Florida. So many names out there, if you're going to stay in that spot. But from a playmaker perspective, DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, tight ends, TJ Hawkinson is going as high as the top 10 in some of these recent mock drafts. So we're eyes to the combine. Huge move here. Yes, I totally agree. Another commenter, the draft is so deep at tight end. Huge move by Brandon Beane. And it's something that, sometimes we talk so much about these moves and what the Bills should do. And, there's a lot of people that think that they should move on from LaShawn McCoy as well. That remains to be seen. It seems like the organization is confident in bringing him back in 2019, improving this offensive line and seeing if that's enough to get him going. But this is a move with Charles Clay that was, definitely a bit overdue. And I think after a season like this, no touchdowns, struggle throughout, it's definitely time to move on. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. We'll have this covered over at the site, nyup.com, syracuse.com. And, on to the Scouting Combine. Check us out next week. We'll have a bunch of content on free agency and leading up to the draft. Have a good one, guys.